Hello, Warhawks, and welcome to Sipping Tea with the VP. Sipping Tea is now looking at retooling and re-envisioning what it looks like. So we are going back and looking at our acronym T, and we are now defining what that looks like from the current student's perspective. So you may have seen a whiteboard rolling around in the hub this week, and that is where students were given the opportunity to communicate to us what their thoughts were about this acronym. So, of course, T stands for Transformational, E is for Empowerment, and A is for Alliance. We were very excited to receive all of the information that we received from our students, and we are currently looking at that so that we will be able to address those things that have been communicated. We are also very excited that we are looking at how this new platform will be communicated. We are going to actually look at a podcast. We have actually recorded one segment of that from our first Sipping Tea, where we looked at goal setting. So for all of you all that attended the first Sipping Tea and goal setting, some of you were able to complete your vision board. And so that helped to set the stage for what you're going to hear in the podcast. So we're very excited about that. We want to also thank Mr. Jay Curtis with KEDM. He has now become one of our greatest partners in helping us with this podcast. So thank you so much, Jay. We also have another partner with Airmark and Starbucks, and we want to thank them as well, because at each one of our sipping teas, we are always introduced to a nice drink, and we are also provided with some type of food item. So thank you so much to the Airmark staff and Starbucks. We really appreciate that. We want to thank all of you for joining, of course, but we also really ask you to do us a huge favor, and that's follow us at ULM Student Affairs. That's on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, because we really like for you to see what we're doing, but also we want to hear back from you and give us that reaction. And if it's not good, we'll take that too, but we would prefer that you give us all thumbs up and happy faces and great comments. As we move through this first retooling or looking at these unlimited lenses, we want to make sure that you follow us, but not only that, come in person. Come in person and join us as we move through this transition, and we look to see you each month at Sipping Tea with the VP. And now here is the first podcast episode on goal setting.
Hello, Warhawks. Welcome to the Sipping Tea with the VP podcast. I will be your host today. My name is Kristen Chandler, and I'm the Executive Director of Career and Student Development. On today's podcast, we will be recapping last month's event of goal setting and creating vision boards to reach your goals. Our staff special guests today include Megan Olinger, Director in the Office of Student Advocacy and Accountability, and Micen Fontaine, Recruiting, Retention, and Marketing Officer in the Division of Student Affairs. We will also have some special guest students, ULM students, Kiana Rollins and Johnny's Peoples. To begin, let's chat a bit about where to begin in setting goals and steps in achieving those goals. As you're preparing to explore your goals, think about goal setting and goal planning. You can think of goal setting as figuring out what you want to achieve and focusing on the why. You can think of goal planning as figuring out the how to achieve your goal. Simply put, the output of goal setting is a list of goals, and the output of goal planning is an action plan. For those of you who like to have steps in creating an action plan, let's go through 10 steps setting and achieving your goals. Here we go. Number 1, have a desire for what you're trying to gain and honestly ask yourself, what do you really want? Not what is expected of you by family members, friends, society, but what you want. Number 2, believe that your goal is achievable. It's great to reach for the stars, but at the same time, you have to know what you're passionate about and what motivates you to achieve the goals that you set. Number 3, write your goals down. You will be surprised how real your goals feel when you see them staring back at you. Don't allow your goals to be put on the back burner in your mind. Write them down so they're not forgotten and they can be reflected on often. Number 4, determine a starting point. Not all of your goals will begin on the same day at the same time. Prioritize them based on what's going on in your life and make sure there's a balance there that will set you up for success. Number 5, determine what you want. At this point, you've already asked yourself what you want, so now you need to determine your why. Determine what purpose your goals serve and if they are contributing to the bigger picture of who you are becoming and your overall success. Number 6, set a deadline. It's great to have a timeline to follow to give you something to work towards. Adding structure to something gives you a clearer vision and a path to make it to your end goal. Know this though, oftentimes unforeseen events happen in our lives that cause us to adjust and reprioritize. So while you have a timeline you're following, be able to pivot quickly if you need to with your goals. It's not a setback, it's a readjustment. Number 7, identify obstacles in your way. Obstacles can be a number of things. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's finances, maybe it's resources. Whatever it is, try your best to identify those things up front. Now, every obstacle may not be transparent at the beginning, so again, just pivot and adjust as needed. Number 8, determine the people around you that can help you. This is where networking is key in your life. You will build your own network in your inner circle, and then those people have their inner circle, which can be looked at as your second layer, and so on and so forth. As you build out these networks, identify who can help you reach your goals and how they can help you do that. Number 9, visualize your goals continuously. Megan will be jumping in very soon to talk about how you can do this with vision boards. And finally, number 10, never give up. Listen, it's inevitable that you will face setbacks and rejections. On your worst days, do not let it stop you. Think about your mentors, icons living now, or historical figures who have changed the world or have had some sort of lasting impact on you. I guarantee you they faced failures. Nevertheless, they persisted, and that's how they reached their goals and became a change agent. Now that we understand goal setting and planning the steps to get there, let's hear from Megan on what vision boards are and how they can help you achieve your goals.
So, hey, Warhawks. Like Kristen said, my name is Megan Olinger. I'm the Director of Student Advocacy and Accountability. And if you attended our Sipping T.E.A event live last month, you got to participate in making your own vision board and put thought and imagination to paper or poster board. I'm going to recap a little bit about what a vision board is. And so a vision board is a collection of images, words, quotes, objects, ideas. These are all things that can help you visualize what your goals are and inspire you to achieve those dreams. There are many different types of vision boards. And at our event last month, we as professional staff took the opportunity to be very vulnerable with you all as students and share our own vision boards and what those look like. Elena shared hers, and it was a lot of words and pictures of things that really inspire her. Mine was very word-driven. If you remember, I talked about love languages, and my love language is words of affirmation, and so I really am inspired by quotations that motivate me. Misen shared a little bit about his kind of all over the place little notepad vision board, and I'm looking at him and laughing at him right now. But we shared how everybody's vision board and how that looks is going to be unique to you as an individual. And the whole purpose of those boards, whether it's a collage or a bullet journal or a dream wall, it needs to be reflective of what inspires you and what will encourage you. So I think we had a really, really good time. And I'm going to kind of like banter with Misen for a little bit about kind of what some of those takeaways were about from the event. I know we spoke earlier this morning on the phone about just kind of the different things that we walked away and marinated with. For me personally, it was really interesting. And I'm going to kind of talk about Kristen. I remember Kristen specifically saying, I've never been a vision board person, but it's been really inspiring to see kind of how my peers and coworkers process how they set their goals every year. And so I thought that was really cool that we were able to achieve something with even a coworker, something that we were trying to do for our students. Our coworker felt inspired by that as well. And that was, I remember feeling very proud of that. What were some things that you kind of took away from our time together last month?
Yeah, thank you for that, Megan. I think for me, it was the different ways in which we approach goal setting. As you mentioned, mine is a bit messy. And as Christine mentioned, there is thinking about the why ahead of setting that up. So for me, I think that was the most important, is having a framework to decide on how to structure the goals. So at the time, for me, the why was reaching some sort of balance in life. So I had 6 facets of life across which I wanted to set goals. So even though the outcome was fairly messy, which is I'm okay with, that's the way my brain works, but the result was goals spread across those 6 facets. The other, I don't know if it's a takeaway as much as something that lingered with me, is the point at which we set goals. I think we tend to do it at the beginning of the year. I think there is an opportunity every day, every second, every hour to do that. We don't need to wait. So if you're listening to this at any point in time, you don't have to wait for the new year to set goals. I think to me that's what lingered while we're waiting for this this new year or this birthday or whatever it is to set goals. I think those are the two main things: motivation and the framework around how to set those goals.
Absolutely, and I remember from our conversation earlier, and you just mentioned it again. Goal setting does not have to occur in January. Every day is a new day to set some new goals or to readdress maybe the goals that you were tracking toward and maybe you stumbled back a little bit. You can start over. That's okay. Every day is an opportunity to take advantage of that. Kristen, were there any other takeaways for you? Put you on the spot right there. Did you have any other takeaways before we kind of turn it over to our students to kind of see the students that we have here with us today, what their takeaways from the event were?
Sure. So a couple of points that I actually took from you, Megan. Megan is very much into love languages.
I am.
I'm surprised she didn't talk about it yet. But when we were having this discussion about goal setting and vision boards, for her, she thought about it in terms of love language. So actually for both Megan and myself, we're both a words of affirmation person. So on our vision boards, you're probably going to see more quotes and words than you will pictures. That's just what we respond to. So that's one thing to note. The other thing slipped my mind.
I think that's okay.
That you brought up, but I can't remember right now.
And to kind of talk a little bit more about love languages for those that are listening and are like, what are those crazy people talking about love languages? I encourage you, Google it. Look up the love languages, take the love language quiz. Meeson and I actually talked about this today too, is that we all show and recognize appreciation or love or care for one another differently. For me, that means words of affirmation. It means a whole lot more to me to hear how you feel and you put it into words, and I'm going to do the same for you. Some people might be acts of service. So they're the type that are going to, like, they know that you're struggling lately and you haven't done your laundry, so they might come in and do your laundry. Gift giving is another. Quality time is another. And then the fifth one is physical touch. So everybody receives and appreciates love differently. And we brought that into the conversation last month because when we're talking about goals and encouraging ourselves, if you are not a quality time person, seeing pictures of friends and family on the beach might not be what inspires you to reach those goals. And so to know how you give and intake love and appreciation is important for understanding who you are when you're mapping out and building out those goals. So if you heard the term love languages today and we're like, I thought we were talking about goal setting, that's how they connect. So I don't know if that helped jog anything for you, Kristen.
Yep. It was about the picture. So when you're posting pictures on your board, make sure it's an obtainable thing. So for me, I would not put a picture of a certain body type on my vision board, because all that would do for me is say, you're trying to look like this other person.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do. You want to be the best version of yourself and not try and look like somebody else you may or may not ever look like. So just be careful of pictures and images that you're putting on your board.
Yes.
Yep.
So I think now we're going to kind of turn it over to our students and kind of see what their feedback and their takeaway from our vision board event was.
All right. Thank you, Megan and Misen, for your insight on vision boards and goal setting. Now we're going to move to our next segment in this podcast and have a chat with some of our very own ULM students that were at the Sipping T.E.A event with us, and they got to be hands-on in the vision board creating activity. So we have Kiana Rollins and Johnny's Peoples. So Kiana, if you will, just introduce yourself, your major, short snippet of your involvements on campus, and tell us what your main takeaways were from this presentation and from creating your own vision board.
So hello everyone, my name is Kiana Rollins. I'm a junior marketing major here at ULM. I am currently the president of ULM's marketing club and the vice president in the Kappa Theta chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated, alongside being involved in several RSOs on campus, which means that I have to be kind of organized about my goal setting. A few things that I took away from the vision board process is that everybody's vision board can look very different. And something that I took in from both Meeson and my dad is that words are very powerful. And I always seem to fail in previous years when it comes to creating vision boards and being consistent with keeping up with those goals. And I feel that's because I tried to make it so picture-based, that maybe picture-based vision boards aren't for me. So I tried incorporating words into my vision board this year, and I felt that it made a lot of my goals more SMART-oriented, which are the 5 different traits to having attainable goals and goal setting. And by seeing those words, by writing them on paper, by feeling the muscle memory of writing those goals out, it made me more encouraged to start working on them. I pretty much started working on them right away, and I feel like I made them more attainable to me. Another thing that I learned about my vision board is that even though these are goals for this year, it's okay to not complete everything on the board. It's okay to start working on those longer term goals and just setting okay, I'm going to start now. And I feel like by doing that, I incorporated some other things into my vision board that I probably would have tried pushing off for years going on, or after I graduate, or when I get my own spot and start adulting really hard, that's when I'm going to start this goal, when I have several resources and opportunities with me right now to at least start working on those goals. And so with my vision board, I did have a few pictures. A lot of them were associated based off of what I connect those visions to, which is something that Elena expanded on during our workshop, that sometimes your pictures in your vision board don't have to be literal. Nobody else has to understand what vision is connected to those photos except for you. So there were a few pictures that were more on the abstract side where people would look at me and say, well, what does that mean? How is that connected to your goals? But me connecting my memories, connecting my experiences to that photo, I can completely understand what that vision is in my head. And so I kind of separated my vision board into 3 sections. My goals for my mind, which is coming towards my intellect and my intelligence and improving my brain. My goals for the body and how I'm going to improve my physical health and keep that connected. And then some goals for the soul, which is more towards spirituality. And I kind of base that off of how do I want to be remembered by others as a person, as a student, as a partner, as a friend. And that's kind of where those goals fell under. And of course, I had a few goals that overlapped the few. I kind of wrote them in the in-between spaces. But I feel that the mind, body, and soul are also interconnected when it comes to mental and physical health, that I want to have goals in each area to truly improve as a person.
Wonderful. That was very impactful. Thank you, Kiana. I would say one of the most powerful takeaways you had was that this is for you to understand. It's not for others. So you do what makes sense for you. And we also talked about along those same lines, Maybe being very selective with who you do share your goals with, because you do want that accountability. Because like I said earlier, there are days, you have bad days and you're like, forget it, I'll never reach this goal. But you have that accountability partner, that mentor will say, nope, you're going to get up and you're going to keep pushing forward and you're going to reach these goals. So thank you so much, Kiana, for that. Miss Janice, we will move forward with you. If you will tell us about yourself, what you're majoring in, and tell us about your takeaways.
So my name is Janice Peoples. I am a political science major. I'm a junior with a minor in psychology. I think my major takeaway from the event was just noting that how much that I actually need to visualize what it is I want to do, what it is I'm striving towards. I'm a very out of sight, out of mind person. If it's not within my eyesight, I'm not going to think about it. Everything is right here, right now. What am I looking at? What needs to get done in this moment? Creating a vision board is a constant reminder that what I'm doing now is not just a means to an end. I have to learn how to kind of enjoy the journey on the way and complete the things that I want in the long term as I'm trying to get to my end goal. And understanding that your end goal doesn't necessarily have to be the end. You're going to continue to grow and expand and create more goals. Right now, my end goal may be to complete my undergrad, and then it'll move until me getting my master's, and then maybe I'll get a doctorate, so on and so forth. But recognizing that growth and that change. And so my vision board only probably made sense to me. So I had a cutout of like Mickey Mouse, the Walt Disney and his different variations as like Mickey kind of transformed into where he looks now versus where he began. And it's a constant, only I understand it. I think other people will see it and be like, wow, she really likes Disney, which may be accurate in some respects, but essentially it's about the growth that I've seen myself go through since I've been in college and the growth that I look forward to as I blossom into adulthood. And in the same form, just looking back at my past and ending certain chapters and beginning new ones, dealing with, hey, this is the end of this book, but it's okay because we're writing a new one.
Terrific. Thank you. Enjoy the journey. I hope everyone picked up on that little nugget of wisdom there. Enjoy the journey. Again, every day is not going to be rainbows and unicorns, but everything will get better. You'll get back on your road ahead of you and moving towards those goals. But remember to enjoy the journey, that you're headed towards something remarkable for yourself. Thank you, Kiana and Janice. We really appreciate your input on that. As we transition into our closing of this podcast, I would like to remind our listeners to follow us on Instagram at ULM Student Affairs or on our website, ulm.edu/student affairs, to keep up with our upcoming Sipping Tea with the VP events. Without further ado, to close out this podcast, we have Dr. Valerie Fields, Vice President of Student Affairs, the lead initiator of Sipping Tea with the VP.
Thank you, Kristen. I would just like to say thank you to all of the team members here today that have come and shared about, number one, setting goals and the 10 steps that are necessary to do that. And then just talking a little bit about what a vision board actually is and what it looks like and what the meanings are behind that. I think it is especially important to just go back and think about, as Megan and Misen talked about, the love languages and the different transformations that move from there, especially as we have moved into the month of February. Although this was done in January, it still applies with talking about what those things look like, especially with the love languages. I think that's very important. Also, our students, they have done a great job on today, just talking about what this actually meant to them and how they are going to use their vision boards to find that way to organize themselves and be able to apply those things that are important to them. So as we close on today with this podcast, I would like to just ask them to give us one word that they think would be impactful to those listeners on today. So, Janice, I'm going to start with you. what is one word that you think about when you think of the things that you have discussed today as far as goal setting, the vision board, or anything that you would like to share? Just one word.
Growth.
Okay. Growth. Great. And what about you, Kiana?
Boom.
Boom. Okay. So growth and boom are two things that we wish for you to take away. We're going to ask you to think about growth and boom with unlimited lenses and just follow as you watch our students grow. And then you're going to have to listen carefully because you're going to probably hear a boom come soon. So we want to thank all of you all for joining. And remember, we're here to provide transformational, empowering alliances with our students. And we look forward to having others of you join us for Sipping Tea with the VP. Thank you so much.